Okay, this is a video I was really hoping I wouldn't have to make, but it's not looking too good. This is my adult female Poecilotheria Vittata. This is the first pokie I ever got. My favorite pokie, mostly because she's been a total sweetheart, and it was the first one I got, so it kind of really hooked me on the genus. Unfortunately, not doing well at all. You can see she's not in death curl, but she is very weak, hasn't been moving much. A little history of this one. I did a video in October right after she molted. I've had her for about 3 years. She molted 4 times in my care. She's about 7 inches now, and the molt went fine. There were no issues. She was flipped over and out of her molt in a couple hours. And a couple weeks later, she took her first meal. She was eating fine. I was fattening her up on dubias. She even ate a medium-sized hisser. Everything was going great. And then right around, I would say January, February or so, I noticed she wasn't eating as well. I chalked it up to pre-molt. Poecilotheria species, because of their build, can be sometimes more difficult to recognize physically when they're in pre-molt as opposed to their terrestrial cousins, because the terrestrials get very fat and the abdomens get very dark, and sometimes it's a little bit difficult to spot out. But I did assume that it was going to be pre-molt and didn't think too much of it. And then around March or so, I got contacted by my Facebook buddy, Jesse Thibodeau, who had a male that was mature and he was looking for somebody to breed to. So I was very excited because I've stated before this was going to be the first pokie I was going to try to breed. It didn't end up turning out that way. I tried breeding my regalis, but was very excited about breeding this one. Love the species. So I told him, unfortunately, I have to wait until she molts out because she's in pre-molt right now, and fatten her up and we'll get going. Well, things took a turn from there. She became more and more lethargic, which didn't alarm me at first. It took her a while. I would say it was probably about April or so that she hadn't eaten, hadn't molted yet. So then I worried maybe she wasn't in pre-molt. So I dropped a couple crickets in, and one of the crickets buried itself behind her cork bark and died, and I could smell it out. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and just clean up her housing, do a overhaul. So I pulled everything out, cleaned out, gave her new substrate, got rid of the cricket, washed off the cork bark, put her back in, and again, she was still super lethargic. I mean, this thing, even poking and prodding, she just barely moved. And she's been pretty much sitting here now for about 2 weeks. Yesterday, I've been checking on her quite a bit. Yesterday, I took the top off and tried to spray a little water in because when my spiders get closest pre-molt, especially the Poecilotheria species, I usually try to keep things a little moister, although the humidity here has been quite high, so I didn't think it would be too much of an issue. And as the spray kind of sprayed on her, I was like, oh God, she's going to bolt. She didn't even move. I mean, I actually thought she was dead then. So really bummed about this. One of the things I have is I don't lose a lot of spiders. It's a fact that I'm proud of. I've lost a couple slings here and there. I've never lost an adult that wasn't a mature male, so this is a total new one for me. So hopefully she pulls out of this. I'm not really hopeful right now. What I will probably do after this is try a last ditch attempt at putting her in an ICU. I don't see it really doing anything because she has access to water here. She was originally I left her in the catch cup that I went to put her in when I took her out of here to change her enclosure around, and she wouldn't budge out of the catch cup, so I was able to put some water in there so she could drink. But I'll take her out, put her in one, see what happens in a couple days. If she doesn't get better, I'm assuming this is something that isn't going to turn it around miraculously. So again, hopefully I'll have some good news to report. After this, I'm going to take her out, put her in a ICU. Fingers crossed it does something, but so far it's not looking particularly good.